It's a great pleasure to invite Dr. Alison Vincent of Cisco to the stage. Would you give her a huge round of applause? Thank you very much.
Destroyer of reputations, dealer in danger and disappointment, fire starter, party wrecker, and one day soon we'll see the last one ever. Cisco is connecting the Internet of Everything, building the solutions for manufacturing today that will confine the product recall to yesterday. Cisco, tomorrow starts here.
Hello, and thank you for staying on. And maybe someone can start tweeting to rent a crowd, gradually seeing people leave. But you're in the right place. You're in the right place to understand the Internet of Everything, what it is and why it's such a big deal. And then I want to touch on why now. So what is it about the technology landscape that it makes it the right place now for the Internet of Everything to be a reality? And then probably most importantly, look at what makes a good business in terms of the Internet of Everything. So the Internet itself can be seen in almost like 4 waves. If we roll back 20 years, that excitement when you got connected to the Internet, it was such a brilliant feeling, but you had to physically move your device to get connected. But once you were there, oh, it felt so exciting. But now, we then moved on to the networked economy, so the idea that people started to do e-commerce, and that really changed the way that people did business, dealt with customers. And we are very much in the immersive experiences, so the whole domination of social media, tweeting, LinkedIn, and the collaboration that's out there, and the idea of mobility is everywhere. So that's beginning to transform not just businesses, but also the way we work as human beings. At the same time, we're now entering this 4th wave, which we're calling the Internet of Everything. What is it? I call it the mother of all market transitions. It knits together multiple technology-driven disruptions. It brings together people, process, data, and things. And it turns information into actions that you can actually do something different and special with. When it comes to the Internet of Everything, it's actually these connections that matter most in creating the value. And this is a key point that I want people to understand in understanding the IOE, which is Cisco's terminology. It's about connecting the unconnected. We heard that in the first session, if you were here, about smart cities. Connecting the unconnected to do things that you couldn't do before. So what's the size of this market? We had some figures earlier. It's a big number, $19 trillion. That's the value that's at stake over the next 10 years in terms of real money for the private and the public sector. And that's the estimated split between those 2 markets. The private sector has got industry-specific and horizontal use cases, and public sector is all about healthcare, education, and verticals and defence. So it is a big market. It's a huge opportunity. There's enough money there for everybody. But, you know, why now? Why does it make it a real point in time where it makes sense to really discuss this as a business opportunity? So if you look at what's connected today, you can see we passed an inflection point in the beginning of this century, but now there's this huge upswing in what's connected. And there's an estimate that at the moment we've only connected 2% of what can be connected. And by 2020, it's currently estimated, these estimates keep going up as people get discover this field a bit more, but they estimate 50 billion smart objects will be connected by 2020. And that will affect every business and every business in this room. And we believe this is a huge opportunity for industries that acknowledge this, but also prepare for it. What's the social impact of the Internet on our life? You know, this is the Beatles, the rock and roll mania. But quite frankly, technology. Technology is the new rock and roll. This is the people battling for actually this is the iPhone 5, but it was the same thing for the Apple Watch and the iPhone 6. So all of a sudden, we're talking about the consumerization of IT. So that's one key trend that's happening. the whole technology advances in terms of sizes of computers, of sensors. Things are getting much, much smaller, and it's really making it a reality to have sensors everywhere. Video's everywhere. I call it the Martini TV experience, anytime, any place, anywhere for TV. Collaboration is everywhere in terms of this idea that you can work wherever you want to. Houses are getting much more improved connectivity. Talk to any teenager who's without their phone and they are suffering nomophobia. In fact, I was suffering that today on my train because there was no Wi-Fi, and all of a sudden I thought, I couldn't get connected. These are two photos separated by, I think, just 8 years. The first one is the Pope. The second one is the announcement of the Pope. And just in that period of time, everyone has the internet in their pocket. That's a very short period of time. So who knows, next 8 years, what is the reality going to be? We've already talked through a panel about, cloud is everywhere. So you've got on-demand and at-scale computing devices. Software programmability is everywhere. There are APIs for everything. Cisco putting it right in the network, and there are APIs on sensors. So the power is actually becoming closer to the software programmer who can create these applications on top of these sensors. IP version 4. It's currently used by the vast majority of internet users. And at the moment, there are just over 4 billion addresses, which people actually thought, oh, that's enough. We don't need more than that. But if the address space of IP4 represented a golf ball, then IP6 would be approaching the size of the sun. So IP6 has got that many, so someone can read out that number. I'll let you do it as your homework. But it's making it possible to address this huge expansion of devices that are coming. So all those forces together make it the right time, in my view, for the Internet of Everything. But what does this look like in terms of both a technology landscape and in terms of what it could mean for a business? I want to talk about what it might mean for an IoE retailer and what kind of changes can a retailer expect. What can they do now that they couldn't do before if they started using sensor technology? For all our industries, I'll look at what kind of capabilities this will generate across particular value propositions, and this is all about customer experience. Yesterday, you just sent out little leaflets randomly in the post to try and get someone to buy something. Now you have the ability to target advertising even as someone is walking around a supermarket. If you look at supply chain, things went out of stock, it was really tough. But if you get the analytics right in the Internet of Everything, all of a sudden you have an unlimited range, this endless shelf of stock and choices which the customers will appreciate. Asset utilization in terms of saving energy and costs in your retail outlets. Let's look at manufacturing. Before the Internet of Everything, manufacturers relied on really quite manual processes or very incomplete data to monitor the location of their fleets and their assets to assess their performance. With IoE, manufacturers know where their fleet vehicles are in real time, and the analytics can help them optimize their routes, reduce delivery times, and reduce the fuel costs. And drivers can actually be rerouted in real time, as we are with our TomTom devices, to get away with traffic congestion or other events. I was speaking yesterday in London on a Smart Cities panel and Smart Industries panel, and I was there with both Cosworth and McLaren. And this is a real reality for them as a manufacturer. So traditional factories are machined to tool one thing at a time, and that's fine. But the modern factory floor needs to be able to produce things on demand as to where the customer wants. So with IP-enabled plant works and manufacturing equipment, which is networked as well wirelessly, they can modify the production equipment more easily, enabling them to produce multiple models, multiple options from a single line on a factory. And eventually, you can integrate customer demand and order data from production systems making the manufacturer even more responsive than they are being at the moment. Smarter healthcare. These are some images of what's possible. Smart pill bottle caps with sensor technology, which will either instruct the person if they haven't taken their tablet, or probably more importantly, their healthcare provider. Digital band-aids, which sense the effect of your skin. Is it actually healing properly or not? Skin patches and cardiac monitors. So there's a whole host of things which are coming, which will make smarter healthcare a reality. Smarter buildings. There's a huge drive in large facilities to have LED lighting, and with the reduced power consumption, you can have power over LED. And so all of a sudden, your ceilings can be turned into a digital ceiling. And what better way to monitor where people are in buildings, the temperature, the fire risk, but through the ceilings, and then you can be able to change your lighting maybe to guide people out the quickest exit from the building using the intelligence in your lighting. But already we're working with manufacturers to actually combine these building control systems with smart sensors to make the whole idea of your facilities management reducing cost. But we also know there's loads of advances in home automation systems. How many of you got Nests at home? I have. Still not quite sure if I'm going to use it a lot, but I had fun when I travelled last week changing the temperature in my house from San Jose and turning the heating on when they're asleep at home. I thought that was good fun. But that's just my evil side coming out. So that's what the Internet of Everything looks like from a technology point of view, but how do we apply this to a business? And probably more importantly, what does a successful IoE business look like? So this is my theory, and I think it's a good one because it's mine. An enterprise that has the infrastructure to deliver IoE typically has three very powerful capabilities. First, they have this ability that I call of being hyper-aware. So their infrastructure has sensors that allow them to capture data about where their assets are and what their customers are doing. When you know these things, you have much greater control and you have the ability to be highly efficient. Once a business gets that ability to be hyper-aware, they can leverage that information to become much more intelligent about future predictions. They develop the ability to actually predict the future, prevent the bad outcomes, and be much more proactive. A predictive enterprise is faster than competitors without that ability. A predictive enterprise can avoid costly mistakes that would impair customer satisfaction and quality of their operations. They've got power to anticipate the customer's needs before they even knew they wanted it, and hence building a much stronger relationship with their customers. So the final thing is when an organisation applies that predictive power, they then have the ability to be much more agile in the marketplace, develop new initiatives faster and better, and hence accelerate innovation in their business. So to move from being digital to fully benefiting from the IoE requires your ability to reimagine your business and embracing those insights from your analytics into the way you do things. At the moment, what we are observing, a number of organisations are failing to recognise that their digital strategy and their business strategy are actually becoming one and the same. Once everything is connected, analytics becomes your focus for innovation. And at the moment, we think about 38% of the value of the IoE can come from looking at those analytics. Connected things can then combine historical data with real-time data to give you new insights about your business, your city, your world. And so things like stock shelves can, through the cloud, alert the supply chain when a product is getting low. Analytics manufacturing responds in real time to fix problems before they occur. And things like smarter cars and roads and transportation systems use real-time analytics to keep that traffic moving. A few examples I've got here of companies that we actively work with. So Network Rail's very interesting. It uses sensors, signals, stations and electrification systems across their whole rail network, and they've achieved 21% lower capital costs while increasing customer capacity by 20%. In Hamburg, which of course is a very complex city with a very big dock as well as a traffic citizens in terms of roads and rail networks, it's actually reduced its networking costs by 78% by integrating its traffic management processes for the rail, for the port and for the waterways. And it's improved the way the length of time people stand still waiting for a cargo ship to come in. And in the end, that's also improved it for the citizens of Hamburg, because the carbon dioxide levels have gone down in the city because the traffic isn't waiting for the ships to unload with the cargo. And then AT&T in the States have got a connected home service, which they've called Digital Life, which has simplified the operation of all those IoE devices that are beginning to get into the home. And it actually has delivered a better experience for their customers, but more importantly, it's delivered them a brand new revenue stream that they didn't have before. So putting it all together, I believe the new model for the next generation of information technology will help our customers address these technology transitions that are coming, captured in the Internet of Everything. So this idea of needing to be hyper-aware, predictive and agile. And above the green boxes, you can see the kind of technology that is there, and that should be a reality for you as a business if you'd like to maximize in this space. This new model has to be an integrated architectural approach that addresses the customer's biggest business concerns and give them a platform that allows them to drive business agility through new services, through lots of operational simplicity with automation, and getting application-centric interface with the software, and obviously you still need the security answer there. So that is the Internet of Everything. You should now have a better understanding of the Internet of Everything and the massive potential it has in terms of opportunities for all our businesses. The ones that will be successful in this space are those who are willing to reimagine the future and reinvent their businesses. So in closing, can I ask you to think about the next couple of questions? What kind of sensors will exist in 3 years' time, and what kind of data could you collect? And then which of the things that you deal with in your business will be connected, that's not connected today, and which things will be joining the Internet of Everything? With those thoughts in your mind, come up with the business opportunities that this will give you and start to develop new business models and the supporting software to help you win in this space. Can we roll the film, please?